Guys, are you ready to get radical?
Totally.
Totally.
Totally tubular, dude.
Tubular. This is Radical Art. Red Leaf Retrocast, Retro Gaming. Is my theme pick today. Very excited.
Should be fun.
So it's episode 94.
Should be a trip.
It's well, with the games chosen, we definitely took a trip of some kind.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very interesting. So if you're joining us for the first time, as we get ever so closer to episode 100, every episode a host picks a theme, and then we all pick games based on that theme. The host with the theme pick gets 2 games, and everyone else gets 1. So we do 5 games in total per cast these days. That is what we do. So Radical Art. Yeah, I just wanted to pick a few games that had a real simpler theme to it and see what we came up with. Just games with pretty cool or unique art style to it. Now, how you interpret what art is, I thought that was going to be the fun part. And we got a little weird overall.
Well,
Yeah.
each game does have a different art style than the rest. There's no two similar art styles here.
No, I would definitely say that. So, as we begin each podcast, what have you been playing? Joey, you missed last cast.
Ooh. I did. Because I didn't have internet, I think, right?
No, that was a few before
was
that.
2 ago.
Last time was
I was
because
getting drunk
Everton
because
had
of
to
Everton.
lose.
Oh, hell yeah, they did. They got destroyed. Oh, man. I
Oh,
had my
no.
hopes and dreams gone. We lost our coach, too. So it doesn't matter. Not talking about that. I was playing some Apex, of course. And I also picked up Control, and I beat the campaign for that. I still have the 2 expansions to do. So I'm really liking it. I'll probably take a little break, then go back and play the expansions. But yeah, it's a fun game for me. I think the gameplay gets a little stale after a while because you walk in a room, kill some people pretty easily. But I like the lore and the story, so it was fun.
How about yourself, Colin? Do you have an update?
I'm afraid not. I haven't had time to play anything other than podcast games these past couple of weeks because I'm still in the process of moving. I mean, hell, last
been a
Monday,
month.
I went on a huge day trip with a U-Haul van to pick up some new furniture. Got me a dining table with 6 chairs. Got a new bookshelf and a couple of nightstands. That's on top of my new queen-size bed being delivered.
Oh, I need
Along
a
with a
new bed
mattress.
myself. I've had the same one since college. That tells you how old that is.
Wow.
So yeah, next Saturday is going to be epic.
Cool.
I'm just taking this weekend to just relax because I need some rest. In
You
every
doing this
sense
all
of the
by
word.
yourself? Is that the deal?
No, Saturday my folks are gonna help
Okay.
me out.
All right.
But everything else I've been doing myself, just like packing up my shit and bringing it to my storage unit every few days, every day that I have off.
Right. Okay. All right. Simple life. Simple things.
Yeah. Heck, I even packed up most of my consoles. I only left my GameCube for a certain game for this cast.
Yeah, so you'll be doing a lot of emulator stuff for the next whatever amount of time.
Maybe.
Well, I was inspired with the long weekend that we had, and before I go into what game it is, I'll play a little drop because it's very, very relevant. Here we go.
Okay.
Yes. So it's a game we played for the podcast like 3 years ago at this point. My, how time flies. And
Yeah, really.
I actually beat it. It's Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty.
Nice.
It's the only mainline Metal Gear Solid game I've never beaten, and especially to completion. And finally got to unlock the whole story. I can't tell you how many times I've played the boat mission of it, the whole tanker.
Oh yeah.
But I always seem to, even in the podcast, I think I only got like another 2 hours after that into the game. The game's like 12 hours. And for those that don't know what episode that was, it was, let's see, I know we covered it in like 2018. And it was for one of these casts. Let's see here.
It's for Character Origins, I believe.
Gear Solid. Character Origins, episode 34. So that was a while ago. That was before your time, Joey.
In the before times.
In the before times, the long, long ago. Yeah. And that was one of your picks, Colin. So if you want to go back and listen to some original thoughts I had over that game, I got a lot more now because I don't know why I was in the mood. It just kind of hit me. I want to play. You know what? You know what it was? I was in a mood to play something I've never beat before and get away from this RPG hell I'm going through with Persona 3 and Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne that recently came out. So little updates on those in a little bit as well. So I was flipping through my PS3 games because I'm like, I have like 15 of these fuckers I've never beaten before. And I see the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. I go, okay, maybe I want to play 3. I remember but then I remember Joey and I beat that basically when the game came out. But I have zero memory of it at this point in time.
All I remember is the river.
The
all
river
the dead
scene.
souls that, because we killed everybody we saw, was super long.
Yeah, which is a real thing in the game. So maybe I'll get to 3, but I ended up beating 2 in a matter of a few days over the long weekend, and it was so much fun. What a difference just being familiar with Metal Gear Solid does, and this game is made very well with the kind of top-down it's not quite isometric, but it is kind of diagonal or angular in its camera. And kitty cat, oh my god, no, get out of there. Get. Bad kitty. It's been a while. Getting behind the TV. So anyways, as I was saying. Don't mind the cat, he's bad. He's a bad kitty. It's a bad kitty. It's been a while since he's interrupted the podcast like that, hasn't it?
Been a while since your pussy's gone crazy.
Whoa, hey, you've been waiting for that one. So anyways, playing as Raiden's a little bit weird, I must say. I don't think I felt that the last time I played, but I don't know why I had it in my head that you play as Solid Snake the whole time, while he's just a side character in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
But once you understand kind of how the game operates it's a lot of cutscenes, it's a lot of dialogue, and you just figure out where to go, which is, I think, what holds me back with a lot of these Metal Gear Solid games. Once I figured out like how the big shell is laid out, and because the enemies respawn and they just kind of repeat their motions, repeat their paths, you just kind of blast through everything. And I actually beat the game in like 10 hours instead of 12, so it didn't take long at all. And once you know the gimmick of the boss fights, that's also a lot easier as well. And I just had a lot of fun playing it, and as you kind of unlock the story to it all, it's all very relevant to today's world with the idea of this kind of secret, the Patriots are this kind of secret organization of 12, and they just want to control information and give context to the public that they feel that you can handle. And a lot of it's internet based, and how the internet has ruined what people perceive or know as facts. And I was just listening to all this going, this is kind of what a lot of us went through the last 4 years of just the American presidency. Vaccines are very prevalent in that same sort of information dump that people just want to believe their own narrative and will take whatever someone says anywhere and believe it, even if it's not factual. And it's I found that really interesting, and how they made a whole game kind of based on that, along with nuclear weapons and this giant mech.
Amazing that it came out in 2001.
So that's the other thing that blew my mind, because I got real curious kind of halfway through the game. I go, how much HD remaster or a tune-up did this have? So I got out the PS2, threw in Metal Gear Solid 2, and I kind of put them side by side in a way. It's not that much different. I thought the controls were a little bit better. Controls still throw me off. It takes a little bit to get used to because the whole triggers going through back and forth of things. And I've never liked how Metal Gear Solid handles cover on the wall. I think it's still pretty bad. I don't like it. You just kind of you get off of it way too easy. There's no auto to it that sticks you onto it. But yeah, there is still a wide range of humor that Kojima always seems to have in all of his games. And I did notice this time around, because we did play it, the Police Knots poster, like right at the beginning of the game. Like, hey, how about that? A lot of women in bikinis scattered throughout the game that you can find.
Naturally.
I got a trophy because I was playing on the HD collection. When I hid inside a locker and a bikinied poster was in front of me, and the controller's just vibrating faster and faster and faster and faster. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right, Kojima, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing here. Joey, you've never played Metal Gear Solid 2, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay. Colin, I take it you've beaten the game.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
The original PS2 version.
This cat is going nuts today. Might have to get up and throw him in the room. All right, so Metal Gear Solid 2. It's fucking fantastic. And right when I was done beating it, I threw in Metal Gear Solid 1 on my original PlayStation. I think I'm like a third of the way through that. Not sure if I'm gonna beat it, but I just felt like I wanted to play that game and have some fun as well. And going from 2 to 1 might seem like a big jarring difference because you're going a full generation back, like immediately. And in the case of Metal Gear Solid 2 HD, you're kind of going 3 back or 2 back. But the gameplay is very much kind of the same way. Cover is a little less lenient, I did notice. Kind of guards see you much easier in Metal Gear Solid 1. But you definitely have a lot more. I feel like you have a lot more ammo compared to 2. And I don't know. I definitely like the story of 1 more. It definitely comes across as more military espionage, more than this wacky, super sci-fi, campy nature that Metal Gear Solid 2 was. I must say, Vamp, he's a freaky, freaky character. All right, so that's Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, Persona 3 update. I do have one. I played a lot. So yeah, Persona 3, last we left off was, I believe, the beach episode, Colin. Am I right?
Right before it, yes.
Yeah, right before that. Maybe I mentioned... I know I was talking to Buddy K about it, but met the robot chick. She's really weird. The beach episode is very campy. It's very anime, where it's like the 3 guys are trying to hit on women. They're really bad at it. They meet the robot girl. There's some jokes there. It's like, oh, I must be next to our main character guy, which is fine. It revealed part of the story that I was waiting for, kind of that next step in progression. So that was nice to see. Then the game kind of goes into its next mode of just going through the motions, and I think this is where the Persona series loses me a bit, at least in Persona 3, where it's just too much. It's too much of the school life. It seems like it's a lot of rambling and just gets slower and slower because you keep rinse and repeating that thing, and you're trying to gain relationships to the point where you're friends forever, kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I definitely got to play this game in chunks. I can't just continuously play this. That's something I discovered about myself playing the game. Now, Is the game kicking my ass now? It absolutely is, because I played for like 5 hours yesterday, and 5 times at least I encountered an enemy that just knocked me down and immediately killed me just in 2 hits, and it was game over, and I lost all my progress. So that was incredibly frustrating. That happened 5 times. That was just nuts. And that's kind of where the SMT games are very ruthless, is because if your main character dies, it's just immediate game over. You just can't revive him or anything. So kind of wish they would get away from that. I wish they would have gotten away from that after the first couple games. So that was real cheap. Gin and Tonic, the evil to like the group that wants to keep their power. They showed up. They're having a bigger impact in the story now, which is interesting. Got to kill the 12 shadows. I beat 2 bosses. The most recent one was the tank in kind of the military depot or whatever it was. And that was a tough boss fight. I had to use a lot of health items, and a lot of just constantly... It definitely felt like a battle of attrition that I just had to wait it out. It took like 35 minutes to beat this boss. It was just nuts. Didn't get any game overs, but it was definitely long. So I'm definitely not learning from my I'm not learning my lessons and going, I should grind beforehand. But this part of the game, it wasn't a full moon. It was just, here they are. So I guess I didn't plan out my grinding properly, is a way to put it, I suppose. So I think I'm like a third of the way through the game now, technically. I think that's where I'm at.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we'll get to Persona 3 in time. You guys will get to play it, and I'll get to hear your thoughts as we get closer.
Well, I've already played it.
Well, there you go.
I've not played any Persona game.
Oh, so that'll be your first one. That is coming this summer. We've already got the theme picked. And then Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne came out, and playing 2 SMT-related games together is quite filled with despair. It's a lot of just death and destruction all around all the time, and Shin Megami Tensei takes that tenfold over, where you're a demon, and this game is old. Like, it is very, very... Like, it is definitely a product of the early 2000s, RPG-wise, and it pulls no punches. It's even harder. It's a lot of enemies just hit hard all the time. No demon wants to be my friend. It's very annoying. I keep talking to them. I keep giving them stuff, and they just kind of rip me off all the time. They're very mean. I look up walkthroughs. That they aren't helpful. They're just like, yeah, it's a roll of the dice mostly. I'm like, you suck. But I am managing to kind of learn my Persona lessons, and I am grinding a lot more in SMT. So in a way, it's a little bit more relaxing, because in the HD remaster, they have auto battle that you can just click and go, so you don't have to worry about anything. So that makes things go by a lot faster. I've beaten like 3 bosses in that game already, and I feel like I'm blowing through it. And there might come a time where I put it on merciful mode, which they added to the HD remake, where if you're just having a bad time, you could just throw that mode on and just skip over the hard sections. So, haven't done it yet, but I expect it will happen in time. And that's what I've been playing. So that's three big games I've been into, plus the podcast games. So, lots of fun.
Yeah, I actually just remembered that World's End Club finally got released on Switch, so that might be something I'll be playing in the near future.
Oh, you didn't pack your Switch away, did you?
No, I've still got it out for handheld mode.
Okay. Anything else you guys have been doing or want to say? We are 20 minutes in the podcast already. I feel like I've been doing a majority of the talking.
I also just remembered I've been kind of watching through the Team 4-Star Renegade for Life playthrough of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. So that's been fun. Just listening to Lana Pator acting as Vegeta, playing through Metal Gear Rising and just chopping everything into salsa.
All right. Well, I guess we haven't heard the Chrono Cross drop in quite forever. But we do have a ToeJam and Earl drop, so I'm just going to play them both. So I'm going to do that.
Go for it.
All right, main theme time. It is Radical Art, my theme pick. My idea was awesome sprite work. That was my focus on the two games I chose, and since we had a Neo Geo episode not too long ago, these two games are something I also got on that Neo Geo spree I went on, and I played the hell out of them. And so that was my thinking behind Radical Art, was just awesome sprite work from kind of the early to mid 90s and that 16-bit-ish era. What about you, Colin? We'll hit you first. What was your thinking when it comes to art and being radical?
It wasn't so much radical as much as just full-on unique, and I guess I was going for more of an art house style or something that just pops out from the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I initially thought of Jet Set Radio Future, but then I remembered another game that had similar graphics, and it was also one that I've been wanting to play for a long time, since Yahtzee talks about it a lot. So that's how I came to pick my selection. I'll go into more detail once we get to it.
Right. Joey, how about yourself?
Well, I almost picked Radical Rex because it was a radical dinosaur that skateboards that has pretty good sprite work. But then the game I picked caught my eye and the techniques they used, and it's just too interesting to pass up.
Yeah, and I threw Kay the question. He mostly just wanted to pick a bad game just to troll us. That's kind of his thing that he does many times, especially the last cast where he played Sonic R. What was his pick before that? I guess 50 Cent Bulletproof was one of his picks. Yeah. Anyways, like his idea was the franchise is kind of known for being super 90s, and the word radical definitely is associated with it. And it was an interesting experience of where he went with the game. So anyways, my first pick was Spin Master on the Neo Geo. You can currently get this game on the Switch through all its like Neo Geo collection deals. It's developed by Data East, published by SNK. It was originally an arcade game that came out in '93, but like I said, you could have got this on the Virtual Console when that existed, but now you can get it on the Switch. What do we call the Switch? It's not a Virtual Console. It's I guess just a store, right? The Switch store. It's kind of lame. Kind of a lame time. Anyways.
Yeah. What can you do?
Yeah. So Spin Master is it's not a sequel exactly, but it is a game that was in almost identical development to a Sega Genesis title called Dashin' Desperados. And I threw the box art into chat here so you guys could see what Dashin' Desperados is. And it's a claymation game with the same two characters that are in Spin Master. Joey, you care to describe what this box art is you're looking at of Dashin' Desperados?
No, it's creepy. Like it's a rat man and a lipless dude standing in the desert being chased by a bird with a fake woman with long arms in the background. I don't know. It's creepy, and I don't like it.
They're a couple radical cowboys. And it's like a claymation representation of what we're looking at. Colin, are you having kind of a bad time looking at this box art here?
Yeah, it looks pretty fugly. It's... You guys pretty much summed it up already. I mean, these guys just look creepy as fuck. I mean, their eyes are staring into my soul. I gotta get away.
So there are a couple cowboy-looking guys, and the same concept carries over to Spin Master. But instead, this game is an arcade action platformer where you can play this in two-player. I played it in one-player. You can control one of two guys, a Johnny Green guy or Tom Red guy. You get to decide. And basically, they're both armed with yo-yos. That is their original weapon. And you go through each stage, hitting a vast amount of enemies just constantly getting thrown at you, kind of like a Metal Slug game, without the mechs involved and the cheap one-hit kill system. You actually get 3 hits before you die, and you start out with 2 credits. I just threw on a bunch so I could just have fun playing it without all the stress involved with it. But you open up chests to get money. Money can increase your lives. And you also open up chests to get power-ups. And there's a number of different power-ups in the game. My favorite were the throwing stars. You can also get icicle daggers. Yeah, you can get missiles, arced bombs that you could also roll like bowling balls. That's kind of cool. And
I didn't put 2 and together that they were throwing stars. I thought you were just like using glitter stars because that's what it looked like. You're like, fabulous. Take my power.
Fabulous. And another cool thing the game has through its attack system is you can actually power them up to do super attacks. So that's really cool. And then you also have a special attack that you have a limited amount to that is like a capital letter B in your upper left-hand corner. And if you decide not to use those, you get bonus points at the end of levels. So there's a sort of point system to it. I wasn't really playing for point system. I always try to beat the game first and then go through kind of like a 3-credit clear mode or something, because I know I'm not good enough to do a single credit clear most of the time. And I beat this game. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed what Data East was able to bring with an action platformer on the Neo Geo of all things. At times, it felt a little on the cheap side. There's a level where there's like purple acid pools, and you have to platform onto moving pillars that are going up and down, and mix that in with enemies constantly coming at you. It's very hard to precision platform when all of that stuff is going on. I'm not saying it's not doable, it's just quite difficult, one of the more difficult parts of the game. Let's see. There's a big plot to it, so let me say this right quick. Many years ago, a large treasure was hidden by a mysterious guy on an uncharted island. The guy of mystery drew the location of treasure on a map, so each level you're collecting pieces of this map to find this treasure. Hidden inside a deep forest. Days turned to weeks, weeks turned to years, into decades. The guy who hid the map disappeared, never seen again. During this time, the map became dirty and weathered, eventually tearing into 5 pieces scattered throughout the corners of the world. Not sure how that happens exactly, but go with it. One of these pieces came into the possession of the young treasure named Johnny Green. Living with his girlfriend Mary and his rugged sidekick Tom Red, Johnny dreamed of the day he would find this ancient treasure. And then this greedy treasure scientist dude, Dr. DePlane, not only stole his piece of the treasure map, he also stole his woman, this dastardly fella. And his evil plan is to buy up all the toys and candy in the world, plunging the children of Earth into despair and darkness. I quite laughed at that. Joey, what did you think of Spin Master Yo-Yo Attack?
Do you think he wears green because that's his last name, or is his last name because he wears green?
So it's kind of a joke that his name is Johnny Green because he wears green, and that's the best way to associate him. His name's
Well, that's
just
kinda dumb.
Johnny.
I love the artwork on this game. I think it does it right, unlike your other pick. The characters stand out. The background has some detail, but it's not the focal point. You actually can make out the enemies and everything, so it's smooth. You don't get distracted. The music's pretty good. The game, I kind of sucked at it, but I think if I actually spent more time, I could get better at it. But I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Colin?
I like this one. I mean, with the yo-yos, it gave me the impression it's the illegitimate love child of Star Tropics and Metal Slug.
Yeah, okay. Apt comparison, sure.
Yeah, I like the visual style. It's very Saturday morning cartoony. In fact, the whole game feels very back to basics. I mean, you got the damsel in distress plot, the tough guy hero with the supreme confidence in himself, and full-on balls-to-the-wall action. It's very unpretentious about it. And yeah, I always enjoy games that allow you to shoot in 8 directions. And like you said, my favorite weapon was the ninja stars. I mean, the game does feel
Glitter
a little...
stars.
Yeah. The game does feel a little on the easy side, although it gets more challenging as you go. But then again, I was playing on an internet emulator, so I can just stick imaginary coins in whenever I feel like it. And yeah, I like that it's nice and short, doesn't overstay its welcome. Though I was a little miffed that the ending is random. It's like no matter which choice you pick, the game will decide whether it's finding the treasure or getting blown up. As I looked on a YouTube video, and the guy chose the exact same option that I did, and he got the treasure, but when I played, I got blown up.
Well, you know, sometimes it's a crapshoot. It's a coin flip if you die or get the treasure. You must choose wisely, Colin.
There's no way to choose wisely if it's completely random.
Well, some would say luck is indeed fate itself.
Yeah, Doggone Ronpa certainly believes that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the sprite work. You said, you associated with Saturday morning cartoons. I associated it with kind of Western comic books, with its goofy '90s style to it, and I really liked.
I can see that.
Yeah, I really liked all of the boss fights at the end of the level. I never felt that they were cheap, and that's a big thing for me with this game. Is the art was just so much fun to look at. You could actually, like Joey said, you could tell everything that was going on the screen. Never felt overwhelmed. This actually feels like a beatable arcade game where you're not pumping in quarters.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, a lot of good replay value here as well, especially with friends. So
I felt like the sound design was a little bit lacking. I mean, there's no sound effects when you're firing your weapon, and the sound effects that are there feel a bit generic and stock. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
I don't know. I feel like too often when we play a game that does that, the sound becomes grating and it overpowers all the other sound effects going on during the game.
Yeah, I
think
agree with
can
that.
see that.
I don't think I need a firing sound if I'm going to be firing like 100 times a minute.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, you're still getting the impact sound effect. So I think that's good enough.
Yeah,
I give this game a good
Yeah.
pass.
agreed.
I really
Pass.
like this.
I also pass it.
All right. Hey, look at that. So so since it's a Neo Geo game, I wonder how much the MVS cart is.
I guess $125.
It is $605 on the Neo Geo.
Okay, I was way off.
Yeah. No, you can't.
Holy
You
shit.
can't forget Neo Geo is very, very expensive MVS carts or AES carts. You could beat this game in like an hour. It's a Neo Geo game. If you're good at it, maybe like 20 to 40 minutes, depending. If you could just blast through it. I got this on the Switch, and it was like $5. So that's the route I recommend taking. Okay, so we all pass it. We all passed a game I picked. So happy. I was going to pick 3DO games, but they're FMV, and I don't think we associate art with FMV.
There's nothing radical about the 3DO.
Take that back. Can't believe this. Top Hunter, Roddy and Cathy was my next pick. A little more anime-oriented in its art style in this one. It's developed and published by SNK this time around. It's another Neo Geo title. This was an arcade game released in '94, also single-player co-op. Much more Metal Slug background and foreground based in the art style. But again, the character art isn't that kind of, as you said, Colin, Saturday morning cartoon. This is much more anime style. So it's more associated with Japan than the West, because something I didn't mention before was Spin Master was actually released in the West first before Japan. And this one was released first in Japan, I believe. Then it came to the stateside. Maybe that kind of gets a different little art perspective on where it goes to its original market. This game is very much kind of the same way, except instead of throwing projectiles and whatnot, you basically have a grab attack. And you grab and punch. And the guy character has extendable arms. I don't know why. While the female character has kind of like a chain that she can pull towards her. And you basically go through various stages. It even has kind of Street Fighter controls where you can do Hadoukens, which I thought was interesting. It's split into 4 planets. It's got your, it's forest, ice, wind, fire. It's very much the samey in that regard. And you can actually see your progress through a level at the bottom of the screen with your character going from left to right. There's a mini boss on each area or stage, and a boss fight at the end of each stage. And I believe depending on which one it is, there's like 4 areas to each main planet to go through. And more often than not, you will face a kind of M. Bison type character in a mech of some kind, and you have to defeat the mech. I think the most interesting gameplay element of this was the ability to jump forward and back onto planes using, I guess, a C button is the way to describe it in Neo Geo terms. This game felt incredibly cheap at times. It's way easy to die, despite there being a health bar. A single hit will basically take away half your health, and it's much less lenient on how much damage you're able to do to enemies. A lot at times it feels like there is too much going on the screen, and you have trouble seeing what plane of existence some of these items or coins that are dropping are on. That's what I felt throughout a lot of this. But as for the background art and everything, it's Neo Geo. It's very solid. I wasn't too big a fan of the character art, although I did see what they were going for. I think if they had different attack systems in it, maybe the character art would have worked better. And then I have the synopsis here as well, if you don't mind. Galaxy's top hunters, Roddy and Cathy, are sent to put a stop to a colony of galactic pirates called the Claptons. That sounds like something Joey might have had 3 years ago in... anyways. Who threaten and plunder the cosmos. 4 high-ranking members of the Claptons have taken control of 4 planets. Big rewards are offered for the captures of Sly, Misty, Mr. Big Man, and Dr. Byrne. I love these names. The top hunters battle their forces and destroy the commander's war machines. Those are the mechs. But they all get away. In the last hunt, Roddy and Cathy will have to battle in Captain Clapton's mothership, defeat the 4 commanders again, and take care of the captain once and for all. Did not like the boss mode super rush that you had to do at the end. That's my last thing. Joey, what did you think of Roddy and Cathy, the top hunters?
Well, I think this got the details wrong. The background had more details than the characters.
Yeah.
And you could easily get lost. And there's things that you thought were part of the background, but actually you can jump on. So especially when the characters were in super mode, when they were just gold. Like, it was easy to lose any detail in the character itself at all. So, did not like that. The music was all right, but the gameplay was just okay. I'm not really a big fan of this game.
I felt the same way. Yeah. Colin?
It was just okay. I mean, the stretching punches are a definite novelty, and grabs and throws from up close are fun for a while, and then it gets a bit repetitive after that. And having to jump between planes got a little bit annoying. It's the same complaints we had with Guardian Heroes, if you remember that from a few casts back.
Yep.
And it's a bit more of a challenge than Spin Master, but not by much. And that the art style, it actually heavily reminded me of some old DOS games I used to play.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really point to a single one, but I don't really have much to say about this one. I mean, it's fun for a while, but then gets repetitive after a while. And I found myself dying a lot near the end, so it's
definitely a quarter
just okay.
sucker. You feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think the jungle stage is a good one to start with. The ice stage, wasn't a huge fan of. The fire stage is definitely something you might want to tackle when you get a lot better at the game. Didn't get a chance to play the wind one, but reading that there's a boss rush, that's kind of one of my least favorite things in games. So I'm still gonna pass the game, but it's definitely not as high ranked as the previous one.
I'm gonna fail it.
Ooh.
I give it a soft pass. I mean, I didn't hate it. It's not as good as Spin Master, but I didn't hate it.
Okay. The price this goes for, anybody care to take a guess? We got, it came out on a number of different things. You got the Neo Geo CD, you got the AES cartridge, and then there's the Japan prices. We'll just stick with, well, they're all kind of the same. But
I'm going to say $537.
For the AES. How about the CD? What's your guess there?
$127.
Ooh. Okay, Colin, care to take a stab at the AES and CD price?
$900.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the CD price?
$500.
Okay. So the AES price is $820.
God damn.
And the CD price is $68. So the CD
God,
is
that's still high.
CD is very yeah. The Neo Geo CD games do generally go pretty high for a CD, but obviously way more manageable than almost $900 for a cartridge. These are straight up arcade cartridges. We have to mention. So yeah, again, you could beat this game in like 30 to 40 minutes, depending. An hour if you really want to keep going. All right, Colin, I believe you have the next pick.
Yes, I do.
Go for it.
It is Killer 7 for GameCube and PS2. Developed by Grasshopper Manufacture and published by Capcom. Released on the GameCube and PlayStation 2 in Japan on June 9th, 2005. In North America on July 7th, 2005. And in the PAL regions on July 15th, 2005. And this was the first game Goichi Suda, aka Suda51, created that was released outside Japan. If you don't know who he is, he created No More Heroes, as well as Shadows of the Damned and Lollipop Chainsaw. Now, I picked this one because it's been sitting on my shelf for a long time and I've been wanting to play it, and Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation always likes to refer back to it whenever Suda51 is involved in the game of the day. Plus, it looked interesting, and I thought selecting it for the cast would finally be a good excuse to actually play it. And plus, the cel-shaded graphics and art style were perfect for this theme. Now, the plot, it's kind of hard to follow. I mean, it follows a group of 7 assassins who are the titular Killer 7, who are in fact the physical manifestations of one man's multiple personalities in his head. Just go with it. And
Of course, yeah.
they perform hit jobs for the U.S. government. And keep in mind, this takes place in a world post-nuclear arsenals. Basically, every nation on the planet simultaneously decided to launch their nukes into the atmosphere and then blow them up so that there's no more nuclear war or threat thereof. And now the Killer 7 are out to neutralize any potential terrorist threats. And the game is super weird. I mean, the character who teaches you the controls and offers up plot exposition is a gimp in leather suspension bondage. That should tell you exactly what kind of weirdness you're in for. And the controls and movement are super weird. I mean, you hold A, or X if you're on the PlayStation 2, to move in a straight line. Press B to change direction backward or forward. You press R to start shooting. It's like becomes a shooting gallery at that point. And yeah, this game is super wacky. I mean, you can switch between characters on the fly. Like you go into the pause menu and then select a different character who has different abilities. Like one guy can pick locks to create shortcut access to different areas, and another is a lady in a bloodstained dress who she has the ability to snipe from a distance because her pistol has a scope on it, and on top of that she can lower barriers by slitting her wrists and spraying a wall with blood. And another guy is basically the cleanup guy. If one of your characters dies, you select him, go to the area where he died, and then he'll revive him. And then, fun fact, the composer for this game's music is Masafumi Takada, the same guy who did the music for the Danganronpa series.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, in the first level, the music was feeling very Danganronpa-esque, so I had to look it up. Yeah, it's really hard to describe in words what the experience of this game is like. It's one of those things you just have to experience for yourself. What did you guys think?
Joey?
What the fuck is this game?
Yeah, that was my first thought when I saw it. I even messaged you guys because I played it late last night, and I just go, "This is weird."
Why is there a gimp sidekick?
Good question.
And I don't know if it's because of difficulty or whatnot, but there were some enemies I couldn't shoot. They were invisible. And I don't know if they actually did damage when they blew up in front of my face, but it just seemed like nothing happened.
Well, you might have missed the part where, in order to reveal enemies, you hit the left trigger. Because when you go into shooting mode by holding R, and then click the left trigger to reveal enemies in front of you.
Probably did miss that. I went through the tutorial. I probably just skipped that part.
Most likely.
Yeah. So, I didn't like this game. It was just too weird for me.
Fair enough. It's probably too weird for a lot of people.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yahtzee has difficulty recommending it, even though he loves it.
Yeah, so it's not so much. It's like I love the art style. I love things being different. I love thinking outside the box. The gameplay and its camera angles is what throws me off. So you're on rails, which I don't have a problem with, but the camera of you like looking up basically the dude's asshole the entire time at an angle really throws me off. It kind of made me feel nauseous and uncomfortable. I don't know if that's the idea behind it, but it was definitely not something I was accustomed to. So maybe if I play it more, I'll get used to it and like it. But as of my first experience with it, I am very much not a fan of this upskirt looking angle as you're going on a rail down hallways. the idea of going from third person in that view and then getting out your gun to go into first person mode and then clicking another button to kind of look around the room or where you're at to reveal invisible enemies. I think we went too far. We crossed the line on going from interesting and unique to weird and why. I think that was entirely too unnecessary. I think that...
And the reloading cutscene every time you reload it? Like, I don't need that.
Yeah, whenever you have to reload your gun, it takes you out of the mode, and then you have to go back into it. It's too much. Now, for the story, it's very weird. And that reminded me of like a Myst type of game, because that's a puzzle that's very strange story, extremely unique, and you're basically on a rail as well. You know, nothing's open exploration to it. Now, I didn't figure out that it was this one dude with a schizo personality until way later. Like, I was watching, I got kind of stuck on what I'm supposed to do with certain enemies, because the whole idea is to hit an enemy's weak point, which is this lit up yellow graphical error it looks like on these smiley demon things. And
I think those are supposed to be the explosives that's mounted on their bodies.
Sure. And the idea is to hit those, and then you collect blood. Now, why you're collecting blood exactly, I don't know. All I know is that it upgrades your character's stat lines, and there is a weird sort of grind aspect to it, which, again, like, we're on a rail game. I don't like the idea of a rail shooter of sorts with grinding elements and RPG elements. I think that's entirely unnecessary as well. I don't like that. I didn't care for that either. But I like, if we're collecting stronger weapons for our characters, I think that would be, and I know that I would like that way more, because I can just go through the game. I don't have to be like, oh, do I just keep hitting these respawning enemies over and over again? Or, well, you get the idea. What I did like is the amount of art played into the sound of the game. I really liked the sound art to it all, where in certain areas you would get, instead of music, you would get, people wailing in the background. You'd hear kind of torture type stuff going on, which fit the theme of the game, with acts of terrorism and supernatural elements. I liked the how the voice acting also played into its uniqueness. Like, there was a lot to love about the game, but I definitely feel this crossed the line 3 times over too many.
Well, I still pass it.
Joey?
I fail it.
Joey fails it. I'm going to pass it, but it's definitely not something I'd recommend to a lot of people. I think you got to have a particular... What's that Tarantino style that he likes saying? It's Grindhouse. I think Grindhouse.
Yeah. It's
got a Grindhouse effect to it. I think that's for a more cult appeal to everything, and I think that's something that that Suda 51 is very much associated with, is kind of cult hits. I'm still waiting for my... speaking of, like, No More Heroes, I love those games. I love the first 2 games. I have the first one on the Wii. I, in fact, ordered No More Heroes 2, which I only played at a friend's house, No More Heroes 2. And I ordered on the Switch a limited run copy of No More Heroes 2, and I'm going to play the fuck out of that. I'm looking forward to that. So it's not like I don't like Suda 51 games. I just didn't really care for this one.
Fair enough.
The game runs for about 15 hours, which seems like a really long time. And you can get the PS2 copy for about $20, and the GameCube copy, because it's Nintendo, runs a lot more. It's about $40, so double in price. I played it on the PS2. I played this on the PS2.
Yeah, I picked it up on GameCube from Fan Expo one year, and it's been sitting on my shelf since.
I think I was with you when you got this.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Anyways, Joey, you're up.
Oh yes, Skullmonkeys,
Oh no.
made by Neverhood Inc., published by EA, came out in '98 for the PlayStation. Now, the reason I chose this for Radical is because of the stop motion claymation cutscenes that they did. So, and then they kept that artwork for the game itself, so you're playing as a clay person. And I didn't know it was a sequel when I first picked it, so now I want to go back and play the first one. But the plot is apparently the evil Clog was banished from the Neverhood at the end of the first game.
Oh, of course, we all know that story. Come on, don't be silly.
But now it's ended up on planet Iznak, which is inhabited by creatures known as Skullmonkeys. So we're playing a game that's named after the bad guys, and insects known as YNT. Clog becomes the leader of Skullmonkeys and is set to make the evil engine number 9 to destroy Neverhood, while Clayman is brought into the scene to stop him. So very basic plot.
Yeah, of course. Typical.
Yeah.
The music in this game is just incredible.
Yeah.
Especially the bonus room music. You guys play any bonus rooms?
Yeah, I did play one.
I just love that song. I think it's amazing. And the game's a little annoying with the one-hit kill unless you get that glowing veil thing. But you can just restart at whatever stage you were at. At least I could with mine.
Yeah, there's a
Constantly.
password system in the game as well.
So, it's kind of different than a lot of platforms because you got to go slow. If you go fast, you're gonna die, and you have to be very precise with your jumps to kill the monkeys, or you can end up launching off them into another monkey and dying. But I really enjoyed the graphics. I like the music. Gameplay took a little bit to get used to. I was kind of bad at it, but I started getting a little better with it. I like all the secrets in the levels. I think this game was fun. What do you think?
Who are you asking first, Joey?
Let's go with you, JD. What do you think?
Me. I'm so relieved you have chosen me and my opinions first over Colin. So I liked the claymation. I really do. It's something that's very, very much associated with the 90s, I feel, because you just don't see a lot of claymation just in general anymore. Really makes it stand out. Now, this game's weird AF. It's the cartoony weird to the grindhouse weird that Killer 7 was. So you two chose very strangely. So Neverhood is a graphic adventure, which I think I would be interested in playing, because if it's like this and it's point and click, I think that would appeal to my tastes a lot more. As for a platformer, even though the art style I was way into, I really love the art style of this. I liked all the enemy designs. I liked the main character design. I love the wacky story. The music, according to the game, is by Terry Scott Taylor. So I guess that's looking. His sounds familiar, but I can't associate.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, but he's a big like actual music artist. That kind of makes sense why the game's music was really good. This is a good aspect of how music fits the art style, and I think they nailed it out of the park with what they were going for. As for a platform game, I think they missed the mark on a lot. Like you said, Joey, you have to go real slow, otherwise you're just gonna rail into an enemy that's just, below you, off screen, that you can't see. So maybe if the sprite work in the claymation was a little smaller, that would have helped. Maybe better level design, because the level design, at least from how long I played into it, felt a little samey too often. But it definitely has a nice little kind of cult appeal to it in its uniqueness. The story's weird, the characters are weird, the voice acting is very kind of muffled and weird, but I feel like it fits. The music's good. So it's really just kind of the platforming that just doesn't quite hit home for me. Too often I felt like I was jumping on top of an enemy, but I was just slightly off. So I guess the hitbox is kind of weird with the game. So I would end up getting hit. And like you said, there was too often where I would just rail into another enemy and just immediately die. Luckily, there was a password system that I could just constantly keep putting in and just move on with my life. So if that didn't exist, that would be huge minus points, but it does exist, so that kind of actually gets bonus points in my book. Yeah, I think it really reminds me of a Earthworm Jim type of game where it's got the unique 90s style to it all. It's got the 90s humor to it all. I pass Skullmonkeys, surprisingly enough, despite my issues with gameplay. Colin?
Well, upon booting or getting the YouTube video loaded up for the first time, I was having major Clay Fighter flashbacks. I think we talked about Clay Fighter 2 in a previous cast.
Sounds about right.
There's definitely more time and effort put into the claymation in this game than Clay Fighter. First then again, this is PlayStation, not Sega Genesis. Yeah, from what I could see, the controls seemed a little bit slippery. Like the guy playing the game had a bit of a hard time getting onto some of the platforms that were rotating like a Ferris wheel. And I kind of wish the background would parallax a bit, because it can be hard to tell where you are in the foreground as a result if it's just platforms.
Yeah. One thing the game does that I vastly dislike is the camera whip. So we played.
Oh yeah.
We played that. What was that Disney game that Kevin picked? It was like Donald Duck or something.
Cold Shadow.
Yeah, Cold Shadow. Where every time you would make the character kind of turn around on this 2D, the camera would slightly whip to the left or right with the character. And
yeah.
I absolutely despise that in video games. And this one does that as well. But if you take it slow, which you inherently have to do, it's less impactful to my dismay. So, yeah, the in-between cutscenes were also really fun in this game. I don't know if you ever got to see the evil engine number 9, like, taking up the whole planet. And it's just this... It's almost like this triangle with teeth.
I didn't get that far, but I did get to the point where the character's getting chased down a hallway by this really big hulking skull monkey, and then comes across a can of beans. So he chows down on that, all while a guy's singing "Beans, Beans" the musical fruit in the background.
Of course, as one does.
And then he farts out of his hair. So then he runs out of the room, but leaves the fart cloud behind. And then the skull monkey runs into the fart cloud, and his entire head melts off his body. That was one of the most hilariously weird things I've ever seen. But yeah, the gameplay itself kind of reminded me of Donkey Kong Country, but not quite as solid.
Yeah, that's a yeah. Now that you mention it, I do see that. How about that? All right.
Yeah.
Do you pass it though?
Yeah, I pass it.
Hey, all right. We're kind of going 4 for 4 here in a way.
I didn't think that he would have passed it, JD.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
what?
I thought,
why?
I don't know. I just thought the platforming would have been enough for you not to pass.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the good outweighs the bad there. How about that for an answer?
I do too. Like, I feel the same way. I think the gameplay could be a little better, but the artwork and the music just makes me want to play more.
So this game is unfortunately really short. It's only about 4 hours. And the game, I like this game we're playing here. Joey, how much do you think this game costs in the United States these days?
I'm going to go $20.
Okay. Joey says 20. Colin, loose price. This is just the disc we're talking about. I don't like doing complete in box.
$15?
15. Well, I regret to inform you guys are way off. It is a minimum of $85.
Wow.
Jeez.
I thought we'd be over. I thought it would be either really low or about $20.
No, I guess it has a sort of cult classicness to it, maybe. But I have my own theory that it came out in 98. I have a feeling it didn't sell very well, so it just doesn't have a lot of copies out there.
And it also has a developer that's not really too well known.
Yeah, the
So-
Neverhood Inc. Yeah, they only made, the 2 games? Really?
And then they made Bots in 99.
Oh.
So
Yes, of
games.
course. Joey, would you like to do the last game? Kay's pick.
sure. We got ToeJam and Earl 3 Mission to Earth. It was developed by ToeJam and Earl Productions and Visual Concepts Entertainment and published by Sega and NA and Microsoft Game Studios in EU. Came out 2002, 2003. Yeah. The character intros, the rapping, Letitia's rap is terrible.
Yes, I agree.
Like, she's offbeat and just like, it feels like they're like, hey, voice actor, just rap it. It's fine. Like, ToeJam and Earl, they at least keep a beat and they're kind of decent. But then you get to her, you're like, God damn it. This game's just weird, though.
It is a ToeJam and Earl game.
Yeah. I mean, the gameplay's just okay. The dialogue is super cringe. Like, super, super cringe.
They went heavy on that. I don't want to use eubonics as the word because that's not correct. It's more like 80s hip hop if I was to associate the verbiage with it. But they went stereotypical 90s comedy with the 80s hip hop verbiage. It's a lot of it's a lot of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the part where in the intro video, which I thought was a little too long, you gotta keep your lights on in your head. You know what I mean? You gotta stay awake. Why couldn't you just say stay awake in the beginning? Like, why did you have to say keep the lights on up top and then explain what you meant? You should have just went ahead and stay awake, Earl.
Well, Earl is dumb and they really got to hit it home. There you go.
I mean, the gameplay was just basic.
It's very
run around
basic
collecting
bitch.
stuff to unlock more stuff to run around collecting stuff. So, I didn't find it fun.
I got a question for you guys. Did you guys experience the music and sound effects consistently cutting out in level 1?
Not that I noticed. That could have been happening. I just didn't pay attention.
Okay. So that was happening to me a lot, and I thought it was very bizarre. And I don't know if it was like a development issue, but there was a lot of times where just music was not playing, and it was just sound effects. Very strange. I hope maybe my copy was fucked up. Not sure. Art style. I hated it.
Yeah. Didn't seem that unique to me.
Well,
Especially for when it came out, it felt like a game from the 90s, but in the early 2000s.
Yeah. It had that 90s art style, but now it's in a 3D world. And I just don't think it transferred properly in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, just seemed generic at that point.
Yeah. And the what's weird though is the graphics were good, but the gameplay couldn't take advantage of any of it because it was just so repetitive.
Yeah.
And the camera angles sucked.
Camera angles are bad. It always seemed like you were fighting it more than playing with it.
Yeah.
The combat system was pretty ass. I hated it. It was just, you're just kicking the whole time, and then just the same enemies are coming at you over and over and over again. So, I swear to God, when I beat level 1, there's like a million levels to this, but I beat level 1, then I go to level 2. It's like the exact same thing, and I thought I had to replay the first level, and then I beat it again, and it goes to level 3, and it's telling me this, and then it goes to the same world, but now they're I guess the land was broken up, and I go, I am literally feeling like I'm playing the same thing over and over and over again, and I hate this.
Yeah.
So things were messing up. The gameplay was bad. Maybe it's more fun with two people and you're hanging out, but this was a huge miss for me.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's the same enemies over and over. I mean, it's kind of the same problem I had with the second game. It's just not much enemy variety. Not compared to the first game. There was like a million different kinds of enemies.
It sure felt like that way, yeah. Yeah, it just felt like they ran out of ideas and they just took the same ideas and they regurgitated it into this game and then just it's in 3D. That's it. They didn't add anything to it. It's just this, like, if you told me this was ToeJam and Earl 1 in 3D, I'd believe you.
Yeah, except for the enemy variety.
And I like the whole reason of adding Letitia. She's flat out said it. We need a female character.
Well, that's pretty much all they added to this experience. Yeah, not good. There's nothing else to say. It's a collect 'em up. You know what? It hit me. This game is like Wii shovelware. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Without
That
the
makes
hilarious
sense.
bugs to it all.
What the hell is Wii shovelware?
So Wii shovelware is when a developer would just pump out a shit-ass game to fill up the shelf.
Yep. Look no further than Ninja Bread Man, which the Game Grumps played a while ago.
Follow us, Joey?
Yeah.
Yeah. The NES suffered, or Atari suffered from a lot of shovelware, and that's what kind of killed the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this game is exceedingly long. It's like 8.5 hours. I can't imagine playing it that long. I barely
guess it
last
costs-
45 minutes.
I'm going to say it costs 25 cents.
25 cents. Colin, what's your guess?
$10 maybe.
Ooh.
I feel like we're playing Prices Right now.
It is $21.
Whoa, way too much.
Right.
Way too much, yes.
It's probably worth about 25 cents because I failed this game.
I fail it as
Yeah.
well.
I also fail it.
We fail a ToeJam and Earl game. Sad times. All right, so our 5 games we played today were Spin Master and Top Hunter, Roddy and Cathy on the Neo Geo each, Killer 7 on the PS2 GameCube, Skullmonkeys on the PlayStation. That's actually one word, not two. I gotta fix that. That threw me off a lot. And ToeJam and Earl 3 Mission to Earth, Xbox exclusive. God help us all. Joey, favorite, least favorite, and your grades, if you will.
Least favorite will probably be ToeJam and Earl.
Mhm.
Favorite's going to be a tough one. I think Skullmonkeys just edges out Spin Master, so I think I'm going to go Skullmonkeys as my favorite.
Okay.
Spin Masters, I'm giving an A. Top Hunter, I'm going to give a D.
Harsh.
Killer 7, I'll give it a C. I didn't like it, but I mean, there's a game there. And Skullmonkeys A, and ToeJam and Earl a D.
Colin, what say you?
No particular order. I think my favorite, probably Spin Master, although Killer 7 is a close second. And least favorite, ToeJam and Earl. And Spin Master gets a B. Top Hunter gets a C. Skullmonkeys, a B. ToeJam and Earl, D. And Killer 7, and C.
Oh, okay. I'm going Spin Master favorite, ToeJam and Earl least favorite, so we're all kind of on the same page there. I'm with Joey with the A grade on Spin Master. Top Hunter, I'm gonna be a lot more lenient than you guys. I will give it a B, so I'm pretty high on that one. Killer 7,
Wow.
I'm also giving it a B. I thought it was a very good game, despite it crossing the line. Skullmonkeys, I'm less lenient, but I still passed it. It's a high C. I guess I'd give it like a C+. If that makes sense to you guys? You follow me? You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
I
Yeah,
know what you
that's it.
mean.
I'd say that's about my thoughts on Killer 7.
Yeah, and then ToeJam and Earl, I give that an F. I just hated that game so much. That is an example of just because the game's not buggy doesn't mean it still doesn't fail.
Yeah.
So that gives overall Spin Master is an A. Top Hunter gets a C. Killer 7 gets a C. Skullmonkeys gets a B. Look at that. And ToeJam and Earl gets a D. So there you go. There's your overall. Our next theme pick is Colin's theme. What is your theme pick for episode 95, Colin?
Manly games.
Oh, we're going manly.
Yeah.
Manly.
A little hint. I have picked a 3DO game. It's back. we
Not
never
manly.
we never pick N64 games on this podcast. It's so rare we get an N64 game on this. You guys notice that?
I mean,
Yeah.
does the N64 have a lot of games? I can only think of a handful of games that I ever played on it.
You might be onto something there. It's kind of funny. All right. Guys, it's been a blast. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye now.